Let's talk about Russia first. Some of these moves are expected today.
Absolutely. It looks as though, according to sources, that there will be further sanctions unveiled by the G7 leaders on Russia. I'll get to them in just a second. I just want to set the scene for today, which is actually day one of the G7 leaders summit. Most of the leaders did arrive last night. Joe Biden, as you saw in the video there, did meet with his Japanese counterpart, Kishida. They talked about Russia. They talked about other challenges, obviously, including China. So Russia and the challenges posed by China will probably dominate talks today among those G7 leaders. And it's not a coincidence that this G7, at a time of heightened geopolitical risks, whether it is with Russia's war in Ukraine or, of course, the challenges posed by China and, of course, the rhetoric around Taiwan, that this G7 is held in Hiroshima, known as the Peace City of Japan. And these leaders will be going, even though it's raining heavily, it is dark and gloomy outside, they will be going, scheduled to go to the atomic bomb memorial and the Peace Memorial Park later today as a symbol, of course, of the threats of and the dangers of nuclear war, obviously. So that pivots nicely to the pressure that they're going to continue to put on Russia and its war in Ukraine. I can run through some of the key elements that the G7 leaders will likely be pushing for today. They're going to cut off about 70 entities from Russia and other countries receiving U.S. exports by adding them to the U.S. Commerce Department's export blacklist. They'll also target some 300 entities, vessels, and aircraft for allegedly circumventing existing sanctions or financially facilitating Russia's war in Ukraine. They're also, of course, this is something that they talked about at the G7 finance ministers meeting in Niigata last week. They're going to close, or at least try to close, loopholes that were found Russia using for sanctions evasion. We had some other more unilateral moves. The UK will bar nickel imports from Russia, other G7 members not following suit. G7, in the story that just crossed the Bloomberg wire, will also track Russian diamonds and the gem trade, while stopping short of calling for an outright ban. It could be the first step towards, though, an outright ban, because it's an extremely lucrative avenue for Russia and hard currency. Many of the exports of diamonds and other gems do go through other countries like Belgium. Belgium has, protested against any kind of Russian or a ban on Russian gem exports, because they say essentially those gems will just transit through other countries. So again, it's a sticky issue, but another way of potentially cutting off a way for Vladimir Putin to fund the war in Ukraine. So lots on the agenda today.